Sorry, just a funny observation about boonie hats. So, I guess I should explain why all those nice little pictures at the beginning of this. I think the first set was a set of coins. The second picture was of Caractacus during his speech to Caesar. Third one is a vase of my ancestor that goes back to Troy, the nephew of the king that was in line to take the place of the king due to his life's deeds and all that other fun stuff. Also the one that escaped with the help of Aphrodite and Apollo. That's why Apollo is so important to the king of the Cantiluvians in what is now known as England and Scotland. Apollo is the Apollo Cunimaglis Apollo Belinus, however you want to term it, is also referred to as the Hound Lord, the Dog Star, Dogon, Tribe Dogon. I could connect the dots all over the place with this. I mean, it's a bit overwhelming at times. One thing I wanted to point out, though, is the color of Aeneas. He's black. He's the one with the shield in his arm and the spear, carrying a person on his back, escaping Troy, is depicted on the base. The next picture is northern Africa, where Morocco is down there and all that other stuff, and then you got Europe up there. That's the Atlas Mountains in red. Right after that is the map of it. The Atlas Mountains, Atlas is tied into Atlantis. Then after that is one of the Merovingian king's portraits. That's kind of why I put the boonie hat on. Or that's the one before the boonie hat. I guess part of that's just to show you some of the identifying marks of our people. I look quite similar to those guys, especially with my facial hair. People want to talk about shapeshifters. Well, I guess it depends on what kind of mood I'm in, as well as whether I've shaved or not, how much sun I've gotten, how much food I've eaten, how much water I've drank. There's a lot of different variables that can cause subtle changes in the shape of a person's face, as well as body. Just some have more muscle. So I guess that would cause a shape-shift in appearance. My eyes don't shape-shift, though. They do change color. They don't go blue, though. They might get golden, like a real dark brown gold kind of color. So then after the one with the cheeks and the shorter beard, the one with the longer beard, it looks like he's wearing a boonie hat. The one after that, the bronze plate, depicts Merovich, the first Merovingian king. Some say he's from a sea serpent mixed with a dude. I think that's just kind of a cover story for when the line of Pendragon went over there and to get out of the whole Roman shit. Hey, you get behind the line, right? Keep your little thing over here, change your identity and go over there, set up a kingdom, and you bring with you the line from Mary Magdalene and Joseph of Arimathea And then when Rome got all hot and heavy about the Frankish Empire getting a little too big or whatever, they made a deal with Pippin the Short, who, ironically, is George Bush's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpappy. So it seems like the Bush family's been doing this for quite some time, huh? That's why Skull and Bones are not Masons. They aren't. I mean, they go and join the Masonic Temple, but they are never truly Masons, because they are always Skull and Bones. How do I know? Well, I've met members or employees of that organization. You know, they could strip their own kind, but they could never take away what they had earned in whatever they were doing. In all organizations, even the most vile, there are good people. They have to be smacked or realize that they're being idiots with who they're following. I don't like putting it that way, but they understand because they've probably said that to themselves quite a few times. And sometimes it's easier to have somebody else just go, yeah, you were a fucking idiot, now get over it. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. I've been there too myself. Just remember, I hope I could return the favor and call you an idiot someday too. No, not out of being an asshole, but more out of, I'll make sure that I'm not just assuming. You know. Anyways, the reason why I don't like assuming is because people have assumed a lot of things about me. I don't like condemning. Anyways, I won't go into all my little codes and points of integrity and all that because it's kind of pointless. If you don't know what they are, then you need to go figure it out, what I'm talking about. Because I'm talking like real Templar stuff, you know. A lot of people get lost in the self-sustaining stuff with the Masons, and you can't be handicapped or be defective in any way or whatever in order to be a blah blah. Well, see, the thing is if the doctors hadn't messed up on my sphincter, I'd have been alright. Like my great-grandmother said, back in the old days when people, because they had kids born like me in the village every now and then, they would give them laxatives, and then that would cause the membrane or the skin that was plugging up the a-hole to break, and then baby survived. All was good. And yeah, there was survival. So I'd have been perfectly fine if the doctors hadn't jumped the gun when I was 18 months and decided to have a little fun and fuck my sphincter up. Of course, maybe I'd have been too, how do I put this nicely? Because I can outwork a lot of very, very, very healthy people. I can keep up with people that have conditioned for years. Matter of fact, within a week or two of working out with them, usually I can keep right in step with them. You know, I don't know why that is. I haven't pushed myself because that was part of what they didn't want me to do, was to display what I can do. And any time I did, they had to convince me, no, don't do that. Or get down and get hard on me. And it's like, what? I just fixed, what, huh? I just did the work of 5 of your guys and you're bitching about it? I was bored. No, I don't want their jobs. That's a little exaggeration. I don't know if I could do the work of 5 men. But I have gone into work work as a waiter for the first time in my life, and within a week or two I'm making the same in tips as their top waiter. And a 4-star, not a 5-star, but maybe it was a 3.5. I don't know. So, there's no telling where I'd be right now. Imagine the malpractice lawsuit this would incur for all of the malpractice done to me over the years, the cover-ups. See, that's the thing, is when there's a cover-up involved, that erases all statute of limitations in these malpractice matters. Oh yeah, back to the Merovingian Pendragon stuff. It's not all about me. What were some of the things I wanted to mention? Okay, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because of guys like Nicholas de Vere von Dreckenborg, as well as this Romanov guy that Benjamin Fulford interviewed, and a whole slew of others, trying to lay claim to Grail secrets and calling themselves Merovingians and Pendragons. And now I think Nicholas de Vere von Dreckenborg is calling himself Vlad the Impaler. So he's gone from Pendragon to Vlad. I don't have anything against the real Vlad. I mean, I think he went a little overboard. But I can also understand, and also, I think I might have went about it the same way back then if I were him too. I mean, maybe not. I mean, hindsight is 20/20, right? So, what does all that mean? Well, it's like a phenomenon I noticed of all the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Indians, blonde-haired, blue-eyed guys even claiming to be part African or black, colored, however you want to put it. I don't understand this. In one area, they're all white. When it's like, oh, this community's, and now that there's a lot of people of color moving to this area, all of a sudden, but I do know that some exist, but I can kind of tell the difference between a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Spaniard and a blonde-haired, blue-eyed American Indian, Celtic, Germanic cross, or Germanic. See, that's part of the whole lie that's been done, is now people hate blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Why? Because of Nazi Germany? Okay, I don't know how many of the SS were blonde-haired and blue-eyed. Do you? I don't think there were that many. I mean, literally, in charge. I'm not talking about the people under them. I'm talking about in charge. I have some theories as to what was really going on, but I like keeping some of those things to myself because I know what some people will do with them and where they will go with it before certain other things are sorted out. Because I kind of get it. I know the answer, but I have to work it backwards for everybody, because if I just give you the answer, you're going to fill in all this other stuff, and then half of you go off on these supposable revenge, blood feud, conspiracy theory. Let's see what kind of drama we could stir up. Mass programming. Half of the conspiracy theory stuff online, mass programmed. They are extremely programmed. Extremely programmed. And you want to know who are the most programmable ones? Literally, do you want to know? Blonde-haired, blue-eyed. No offense. it's probably because you guys have been under the thumb of this crap for a very long time. And it's been ingrained into your, not DNA, but your genetics have aligned their energetic matrices with this programming. So, in the comments of this video, I'm going to put Manly P. Hall's lecture on magnetics and energy. It will do a lot of people a lot of good to pay attention to what Manly P. Hall says about a lot of things. Because a lot of the things that I discuss are in line with just about everything he discusses as well. Now, I am not a Mason. I have never really gotten into studying all of really not much. A few things here and there. I hear a lot of stuff about Albert Pike. I also understand he was slightly a racist or involved in racism of some sort. But people want to point to him as being the preeminent Mason or whatever. When it's actually Manly P. Hall people should be paying attention to. Just set aside what you think you know about Masons and Templars and all this. Because they aren't Illuminati and they aren't Skull and Bones. They're just whoever they are is whoever they are. They're human beings with access to information and with drives, and maybe some of them do have a bit higher of an IQ or insight, because there are many different types of quotients. So, if you want to, if it so behooves many of you, please type it into your YouTube search bar, Manly P. Hall, and try finding the ones that he's talking, not somebody's interpretation of what he's saying. Because he's on YouTube, his voice recordings, the actual man speaking. And then compare it to a lot of what I've been saying. And ask yourself, how can this guy that's supposedly a nobody know all this? How could somebody that's just been online on and off for 10 years trying to just figure a few things out, how would he know all this before he even started doing this? What do you call it? It's not really vetting, it's more of a confirming. Because I listened when I heard that saying, don't rely on your own understanding. Because that means when I go look for things to back up what I'm seeing and understanding, or to back up my understanding of what I'm seeing, and to let me know that what I understand is to be true, I need to go do that as a critic, as somebody that is trying to refute my own story. Because, and that's not hard to do when it's kind of a heavy story, It's like, I've already been through all this other stuff. I know enough about how the mind works and emotions work that I need to be very careful and make sure that I'm not coming up with some grandiose thing to justify all the crap that I've been through. Yeah, we know how that works, right? Anybody that studied any psychology understands how that works. A lot of people also understand the cop syndrome. I mean, we knew that ever since I was a kid. It's like, yeah, the kid that gets picked on at school grows up and becomes a cop and then picks on everybody else. Yeah, it happens, but it's not everybody. Some of them actually do it because it's not that they want to get back at the bullies. It's more like they want to protect the people from being bullied. So some of them do it for really good reasons. That, and they're pretty tough because they were picked on so much. But some of them go to the dark side just like everybody else. Okay, so I'm going to make a few key points here that for the people that like connecting dots, it should be pretty easy to connect it to a lot of other stuff involving King Arthur, Pendragon, Merovingian, Atlantis, the whole Titan God War, Atlas being the only Titan that did not side with the other gods that wanted to eat all their children. I mean, the other Titans that wanted to eat their kids. Yeah, kind of sick, cannibalistic crap, huh? But, or it could be an energetic thing, or it could be many other things. You know, these details can be gone into later. Just don't jump to the conclusions that it was actually eating their kids. It was probably more along the lines of eating the fruits of their labor and being greedy about it. So, let's start with, the Atlas Mountains. Mountain range across northwestern stretch of Africa, extending 2,500 kilometers through Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia. Highest peak is Tubkal. The Atlas Range separate the Mediterranean and the Atlantic coastlines from Sahara Desert. There's a lot of plant and animal species there that are crosses between European and African species. One of them is the Ursus arctos cralfiheri, or the Atlas bear. It's a little bit smaller but stouter than America's black and brown bears. It's the only native bear in Africa, thought to be extinct now. Then there's the Barbary lion, also known as the Atlas lion or Nubian lion, is a subspecies of lion and became extinct in the wild, or extinct in the 20th century. Its former habitat was in North Africa, encompassing the region from Morocco to Egypt. It's the biggest lion. And then there's Thoth, the ibis, right? So, the reason why I bring this up is because things move in nature, just like people move. I noticed a connection between myself and the animal kingdom when I was a child. Might be why they've kept me from having pets. Yeah, even the times that I did manage to have one, things became so insane that it was impossible to keep a pet. So I would have to give a dog or something that I had raised for 6 months or a year to somebody I knew. And yeah, it was always, anyways, I won't go into how good my pets were that I couldn't keep. But, I don't know why I don't like calling them pets. Because I walk down the street and I see a dog, and it's easier to talk and say hi to the dog than it is a person. Usually they try to get my attention somehow. It's rather interesting. That goes into the Fisher King and Grail stuff. I brought up the Atlas Mountains, the Atlas Bear, the Atlas Lion, the Ibis. There are three things that coincide with a lot of this. The vase of my ancestor when he was leaving Troy, his skin color. Like I mentioned before in some of the stuff that I was trying to go into regarding some of this racism and all this other stuff that goes on, I mentioned of a lighter race, I guess you could say, from those parts that has migrated and moved, and we just don't like to be part of a conquering empire, basically. And when people want to start conquering and harming their neighbors, even if we don't know the neighbors, we really don't like it that much, because and they all want us to be a part of it. And it's like, well, if we're being attacked, no problem. Oh, that might be the whole thing with Atlas and the Titans, huh? You know, the other gods or the other Titans. Yeah, we can go into all the Nephilim stuff and all that, but then guys like that Romanov from Benjamin Fulford's interview will feel justified in him saying, oh, we've been lied to and the Christian God is Satan. And it's like, what? So because you were lied to about history and stuff, all of a sudden you're going to just jump ship over here and join ranks with the enemy of what they said is their enemy? Maybe they're both being stupid. Take the good from each. Why not try that for a moment? I mean, I can't say that all Satanists and all their concepts are wrong. I mean, they got some psychology and a few other things. Some concepts that, I can't say they originated. But I can say this, they were taken out of Christianity. So you see, you take some truths from one thing, and you build another thing to be its enemy. You can slip in. Let's take over here what we see working and leave the rest. Oh, but the rest makes sure that these other things don't get too out of hand and run amok and start harming people. You know, there's a lot of balances that are there for reasons. And when people choose not to even acknowledge certain things is when they start relying on their own understanding. So, if I'm having a hard time explaining what I understand and just what I've observed in just these last 42 years, I have a hard time divulging that information alone. How can anybody assume that they know enough to all of a sudden say, oh, this is all wrong? I'm from a murdered family that nobody survived. Nobody's proved that they survived from that bloodline. Blah, 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 blah. Romanov, Anastasia, old eldest grandson. It's like, well, okay, maybe you're not lying about that, but you're definitely off track over here with what you think you know about things. Because obviously you only got a few pages, or this book you call 666. Oh, how come you call that book 6? Well, ironically, each chapter ended up being 666 kilobytes. Wow. So where is this book? Oh, they won't let us publish it. Oh, so it's already written, it's saved on a computer, so how come you don't just release it if it's so damn important? What's in it? There's just so many holes in their stories, and then that Romanov guy says he's an international drug dealer and all these other things, head of the Illuminati, trying to sell for 70 kilograms of tainted marijuana. Because then this guy says that they were going to give him some bad weed. Oh, that was going to drive him crazy, and then they were going to kill him. Oh, that sounds a lot like that stuff that guy in Florida must have smoked, huh? You know, the zombie guy that ate the face? Yeah, we've heard about that too up here in the local jail. You know, a lot of times it seems like law enforcement takes a while to catch up on these things, and part of it is because of the secrecy of the outlaw and the underworld. Oh, there's two different worlds, by the way. There's the outlaws and the unders. I prefer outlaws. You want to know why? Because most of the laws nowadays if you live, then you're definitely going to break a law, at least one every day. So therefore, if you're a human being and you aren't in denial, then you're an outlaw, right? Do I look like Jeffrey Goins to you guys? Should I just shift for you all there? How's that look? Oh, man. I thought I'd do that because, if the reptilians look the way they do, like George Bush, and I've seen eyes actually do that before, here locally. I've had a problem with that individual too. And, yeah, I saw him just glee. He thought we were going to be buddies or something, I don't know. Maybe he thought he got the upper hand and all this other stuff. I really don't care. I just don't appreciate being lied to constantly and then having some little puke named JS trying to tell, you're both what? You're both bird tribe and reptilian. Oh, okay, so then maybe you should listen to me, maybe. No, because we don't trust you. Neither side trusts you. Why? Because you're both. I'm like, both what? Oh, but they'll trust you. Just because you're full blood what? So, what? And then when I look at it all, it has to do with being a bright, shining hound of God. No devil dog, no Cerberus or whatever, Cerebus, no big dragon, a dog, and lions. References to being a hound lord, a hunter healer, lineage of Apollo and Atlas and Aphrodite. And maybe that's why I'm so handsome. Even when I am put through a ringer and drugged through a war. Several of them. I guess I was lucky. Somehow, as a kid, I knew that Hitler had been manipulated. I knew that the people behind him, some of them probably just slipped into the woodwork somewhere. Here's the thought. What would happen if somehow the leadership of Nazi Germany was one of the tribes? The one that's said to have gone bad. So what if that tribe got a bright idea and put all that into effect? With the sole purpose of killing off the other tribes? Could that be why there was 10 million Slavs executed? That's on the books, but it's not talked about. What's also on the books is 6 million Jews. Okay. 6 million, 10 million, 6 million, 10 million. Lost tribes? Oh, who's who in this zoo? Are these Khazars from Russia? Fucking around again? Yeah, it seems like Russia has a very concentrated level of Satanism, from what I understand. I don't know if it's the atheistic stuff or if it was the hardships a lot of people were put under, so they chose to go that route, because the cruel, inhumane, cold route, just give in to that part of being human, was probably easier in that environment. Keeps you warm too on a cold day, being pissed off. Fueling that fire, vengeance, yeah. they kill off their entire royal family. So, how did they kill off the Romanovs? Well, people have heard of Rasputin, right? Sent in Rasputin, softened them up a bit, got them kind of screwed up morally, mentally, physically, emotionally, got them kind of fighting among themselves a little bit, like part of our family is getting really weird. You know, jealousies and whatnot, sexual jealousies, magical jealousies, power struggles, and blah, 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 blah. So apparently Rasputin was, stabbed, cut up, tortured, hung, castrated, thrown in a river, and then somehow he survived. Come on. I think he lived through all that. He was kind of like a spy agent dude. So Rasputin goes in and slanders the Romanov name. Gets one or two of the family members involved in some weird Aleister Crowley type crap. As, what were they called? Whatever the revolutionary groups were, I don't know, was it Lenin or whatever, Marx, Stalin, I don't know. Who was it? Yeah, maybe I need to read a little bit more history other than just looking at the stuff I have to look at. Like these patterns of royal murders. Complete families being taken out. Why? So they get involved in all that. They get overran and all of them killed. Supposedly Anastasia escaped. Okay. That sets up this new Romanov cat for later on down the road, where they can slip in their own guy, back him with some funding, yet there's no real proof as to him actually being a Romanov. So then they can steal the name and titles and legitimize themselves in the eyes of others that may say, no, you guys killed off the royal family, we don't have to listen to shit anymore. And then they pull in this guy, and then he pulls them into whatever they want. Or he catches whoever he can in his net. So why isn't he working on getting his kingdom back? Instead he's off dealing drugs, playing Illuminati assassin, hierarchy, blah blah. You know what, Romanov, if you're not really a Romanov, it don't matter how big of a drug empire you think you have, or how powerful you think the Illuminati is. When you start claiming those things, a real one might show up, or somebody related to them. Yeah, all royal lines are related. It's like Christ said, scattered into every nation. Just when was that done? Yeah, the Bible was probably manipulated, rewritten, coded, and other things, but there is truth in it. That doesn't mean you side with the enemy, though, does it? Isn't that kind of like an obvious trap? We're going to do this, and we know these real ones are going to have a problem with the way we're going about it, because they'll feel it. And then they'll get vengeful and stupid and forget to think. Forget where their heart is. And they will only go on, build an empire, and get him back. Vengeance. I don't know. I wonder sometimes. Because obviously that Romanov and I do share some physical similarities. So he might be a Romanov. But I will say this. His information is faulty. He may have some things that are real, but they've been distorted. Just like he's saying the Bible was distorted. If he can show me a coin and explain the symbolism on it from his family, coin over 1,000 years old, preferably prior to the Roman conquest of Europe and a lot of other stuff. When they were sweeping across the land, destroying a whole bunch of history. Kind of like Persia did. I wonder if Persia is just a carry-on, or if Rome is a carryover from Persia. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't had the opportunity to sit down and study all the timelines and correlations of world history. It would be nice to sit down with a nice library with all the books you can imagine on this stuff. I'd be like a kid in a candy store. I'd be like, paper, books. You mean I could flip the page? I could go to the back of the book, front of the book. It's a little easier than opening all these browsers and then sitting there having to look at the top thing, all this other stuff. Yeah, because it's just something about flipping the pages. It's almost like a spontaneous search engine. So, what was my whole point on all this? Oh yeah, I wanted to show some validity. Oh yeah, maybe I should put up Richard Kimball. Oh, where is that? I better stop this. Or no, I'll do that after I finish this, because I can do all that and slip it in there. That way you get to see when the first one came to America, of whom I've been direct descendant of. Maybe I should let my beard grow so that people can see a few things. So yeah, whoever my real dad was, obviously he was what I am, in a way. And like they say in the King Arthur legends, who was his real dad? Was it Uther Pendragon, or the guy that hated his guts? What's in a name, huh? But I have the name now. I have the looks. That's funny to say that, but yeah. The profile, the psychological profile, the archetypal profile, blah, 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 blah. And then you throw into that the dreams of Rama and all that, and a few other things. And it's like, I really don't like running through all the little tidbits of evidence and proof, because why? I've already done that, or it's already been done for me. The problem is too many people want to say different, or the opposite, or this, that, or the other thing. Well, this Romanov cat said that he's the Antichrist, didn't he? So, at least maybe he's being honest. So if it's a Romanov, which is Russian royalty, or whatever they called themselves then, is the Luciferian bloodline, and there is a satanic Hebrew tribe, and it's said that there was a Hebrew tribe that went to the Russian areas I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, is it not? So I probably should leave it at that, because these are things that I would prefer looking into a bit farther. But with the little bit I know of the Russian Hebrews, or should I say the Russian Merovingians, the Russian descendants of Nephilim, yeah, and that opens up a whole can of worms right there, doesn't it? See, part of it's true, the Vatican did try to cover up a lot of stuff and say all these are bad. Why? Because they couldn't control us. Would you want to be controlled by a bunch of murdering pedophiles? I mean, I don't know what Romanov is, but he doesn't have that look, so at least he's got that going for him. I'd rather talk to him after he's stated what he is, and maybe he just hasn't looked at certain things a certain way and retooled what he thinks he knows. But at least he doesn't have that human trafficking kind of vibe to him. That's why some of this is difficult for me to say about things sometimes, is because I try to judge a person based on their character, but then when they want to claim being an enemy and then tout it and continue playing that, then it's like, well, okay, whatever. If that's the way you want to play this, okay, fine. Because I'm not playing. Tony Robbins. Oh, yeah, there's one for you. Kind of been mentioning the illusion will be dissipating. People will be seeing things for what they are. You know, it's like when I went to the ER last year. The cops showed up really quick before I was even a problem. Under 90 seconds. Yeah, that's the same amount of time it took them to respond to the movie theater. 90 seconds. A minute and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's about what it would have taken to get a call, right? So then you got, what, 80 seconds left? Just get in the vehicle and get there, right? I mean, actually, it's not that short of a time to respond to something like that. Unfortunately, that means they had people capable of responding that close to the theater, which means I don't know what it could mean. It could mean any number of things. It could be something as simple as maybe they were already prepared for something weird to go down. They just didn't know where and when. So midnight showing at a movie theater, yeah, you'd have a few extra patrol cars in the area. It's not like they had to rush in a SWAT team. If a SWAT team would have showed up within 90 seconds, then I'd be asking a lot of questions. My concern is how well the victims and witnesses handled it. And then what one of the interviewees had said on the news, one of the few people of color that were interviewed, he said, you know, the shooter and that guy that's in jail now, you wouldn't know. He looked, two totally different. Demeanor, everything. He said if I would have seen him, when he came in, he was calm, everything else, that guy, So, there are many scenarios that could be playing out here. They might find out that this Holmes kid they dressed him up, they drugged him up, they kind of stood him against a wall outside. The guy that did the real job, or the shooting that place up, went in, did what he did, came out, ducked through somewhere, around somewhere, and they left him standing there with the bag and dressed like he had just been the guy that did it. Then he tells him his apartment's rigged with explosives. everything that he could get out of his mouth due to what may have happened to him, because he was up for a neuroscience PhD. He was involved in a program at the college, a very, I guess it's hush-hush, because they aren't saying what exactly kind of research he was involved in. So there's an angle that people have not even whispered. How come nobody's saying, yeah, how hard would it be to drug some guy up, stand him against the wall, go in and shoot up a fucking place, come out, hand him the fucking bag of shit, and head down the fucking alleyway, laughing your fucking ass off? All you gotta do is take off the orange clown wig, right? Oh, but he had a helmet on and all that other stuff. So if he was outfitted like that, how could they even tell it was him in the theater? There's a lot of holes in this that need to be looked at. And I don't like having to say some of these things on YouTube, because I'm seeing a lot of very unprofessional, very uninsightful, very unintelligent forms of investigating going on in the world, not just relegated to theology and history, but current events and things going down. A lot of this revolves around conspiracy sites. Somebody cut off connections with me the other day. I'm kind of happy about that. If you want to think that I'm one of you, define what one of you is first before you think I'm one of you. Don't assume that I'm some militant, half-cocked, ready-to-go terrorist fucking idiot. Actually, the opposite. Said it the whole fucking time. Anti-terrorist expert. Maybe the only goddamn one on the fucking planet right now, as far as I can tell. What does that do? It prevents the shit from happening. If it happens, you figure out what caused it. Who's at fault? No matter where the trail leads. And it ain't about blame. It's about preventing it in the future. It's about making sure that the wrong people don't get condemned and convicted for a crime that they may have been forced through manipulation, Jedi mind tricks, however you want to put it. And it's pointless to use a lot of this stuff as an excuse as well, because that can be seen when people are using some of the stuff I say as an excuse and a way to get away with certain things. Hey, I need a shave again. The scruff makes my chin real cold. Well, I need some shrimp.